At it again, and we've got one from Tim Pool today. Shout out to Tim Pool. I'm sure most of you already know who Tim Pool is. I mean, the guy's massive on this platform. But he had a pretty interesting topic of discussion that I would like to discuss with you guys a little bit and get your thoughts and your opinions on it. All right, but before we hop into that, like, share, comment, and of course, hit that subscribe button if you are new. And if you'd like to help me out even further with the YouTube algorithm, watch this video to the very end. Helps out tremendously. With that being said, let's dive in.
But yeah, a lot of these people on social media, they just say utter nonsense to get followers.
That's a good observation. You were saying that people will retweet or repost like the cringe stuff because it's so bad. You're like, hey everyone, I want you to see how horrible this is so you know what you're up against. But I see it and it's like, I just feel like you're that guy talking to me when you repost him. So like I have to unfollow people when they repost trash content to make fun of it. I don't want that trash content in my life. I understand the mentality of like,
and then you're also like you're convincing yourself of like a caricature of the left that isn't true, and then you're not prepared. Like if you want to debate the left, you're not really prepared on what they actually believe. And then like also in like your everyday life, you might know like most of my friends and family members are like left wing, and so if I look at Harry Sisson and I'm like, but then if I get in a real conversation with like my relatives, I'm going to be like unprepared. I'm going to be like, oh, they're actually a lot smarter. And like, I should, it would be obviously better if everyone.
Disagree. I certainly think Harry Sisson is a caricature of liberals who's like, it's shock content, but his understanding of reality is about on par with the average liberal voter. They could not point to Ukraine on a map. And there's varying degrees of this, but I got to tell you, man,
I agree with that.
The key moment, a good example is when we had Hunter Avalone on this show, and I said in one example that Joe Biden said, if you don't fire the prosecutor, not getting $1 billion, and he smugly said that never happened. And then I played the video, and he was like, whoops. It's like, dude, I don't care for debate. Like in this idea that we're going to stand on the stage and hit a buzzer and be like, well, I have an argument.
I've actually had a moment like that before as well, but it was with Joe and his racist comments. I forgot who I was talking to. Who was I talking? I don't remember who I was speaking to, but I had brought up the fact that Joe is actually racist, and I'm like, no. And then I played the video, of Joe saying or calling black kids roaches, and if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. All the whole thing, and it was like a shock, like, oh. And I'm not even the most knowledgeable when it comes to this stuff. I'd be the first to admit I don't know everything, so I'm not even the best person, right, there is to debate on Republican topics. But I know enough to know that Joe ain't the guy, right? I know enough to know that Joe's not this angel that, Democrats try to portray him to be. Just saying. So it was kind of interesting to hear him mention that there.
Like in this idea that we're going to stand on the stage and hit a buzzer and be like, well, I have an argument, and do different debate tactics. That's stupid. I care about, here are the things that I think. Here's why I think them. If you are wrong, I will say you're wrong. I'll pull something up. If it turns out I'm wrong, I'll say, I was wrong about that. Wow.
Right, I agree, right. But that is a debate. That's like the point of a debate.
My point is, I have no concern or fear of debating a liberal on any of these issues at all. And I don't think I know everything about these issues. I, in fact, think I'm mostly wrong about them.
Because you're open to discovering the truth.
The deep state, the intelligence agencies are not giving us the true and correct information about what's going on. But what I can say is I've read substantially more about all of this than any of you. And I do believe if you took an SD card and neural linked it, all the basic news coverage of Ukraine and Joe Biden into the head of the average liberal, they'd vote Donald Trump instantly. It's just that.
I completely agree. Because the problem is you have these individuals who only watch leftist news. That's all they watch. That's it. And let me tell y'all something. Because I watch leftist news from time to time as well, obviously, because, I want to bring you guys different videos and clips and things. And when I talk about frustrating, oh my goodness. Sometimes I just have to turn it off because I'm like, are you kidding? Like, you're really saying this? It's so maddening. right? Like you just find yourself with your blood boiling listening to some of this crap. I'm just like, no, can't do it. I've got to turn this one off. I have to. They're just saying some bogus crap that's full of lies. It's obviously lies. You know what I mean? But I completely agree with Tim. If you showed them or just happened to plug it into their brains, all of the news coverage, every bit of it, not just leftist news, right? But other news organizations, regular folks like Tim and, people on social media platforms that report the news that aren't extreme leftists or even right-leaning, really. They just report the news. If you just plug that into people's brains, I would say more than half of people on the left would just be like, yeah, Uncle Trump it is, right? I definitely agree with that statement. Do you guys agree? Let me know in the comment section. I definitely believe it, though, for sure. I think there will always be, like, that group of on the left that no matter what, they're going to always be on the left, which is a shame. But I do believe half of the people on the left, if you just plugged it in, you didn't have to say any words to them, they would flip their votes. I do believe that. There are people on the left who are just like I was, who just needed the information, right? Just needed the information. That's it.
They don't know. They don't want to know. They watch CNN, and that's about it. If Ukraine and Joe Biden into the head of the average liberal, they'd vote Donald Trump instantly. It's just that they don't know. They don't want to know. They watch CNN, and that's about it. Or MSNBC. And they believe people like Rachel Maddow, who's nearly in tears when Donald Trump isn't indicted as a Russian spy.
They may not vote Trump, but they'll definitely not vote Biden.
They vote Trump.
I am kind of that guy. I don't immediately go to the opposite party.
Or about that.
Or RFK.
If you downloaded all of the information on the Biden family, Ukraine and the war, the Obama administration, just all the news articles.
Hillary, all her emails.
Into their brains. They would just be like, now I understand why everyone's voting Trump.
Yeah, full red pill.
Full red pill. But if you go to a Trump supporter and you were to download it,
the problem is it's impossible to do that, obviously. And to get to that point within a conversation is a very tedious thing to get to. Now, I'm not saying that we all shouldn't try, because I've personally done it myself. And honestly, I feel like I've converted a few people to Republican because of having those tedious conversations and slowly inching people, right, in the right direction. Not lying to them, because one of the things that I always say, hey, you can always look this stuff up for yourself. You don't have to believe me. As a matter of fact, here's a video clip, speaking about the Joe Biden being racist thing, right? Here's the video clip, and I'll play the video right there so that person can watch and hear it for themselves. Don't just take my word. And when you guys are having conversations, I encourage you to do the same, because one of the things that I found is the easiest way to get around some of these barriers, because it is difficult to have conversations with, the left, right? We've seen street interviews. That's why I came up with the saying, when the facts come out, they run, right? When the facts come out, they run. A lot of you guys remember I used to say it all the time. When the facts come out, they run, because that's what happens. But when you inch your way along and you show video clips as you're doing it, that I feel like that brings down the temperature, and you're able to really have a conversation rather than it devolve into name calling and, them hating you and storming off, right? You get that conversation to continue going because they see, oh, he's actually telling the truth, or, oh, she's actually speaking the truth. So when you're talking to these folks, show them video clips, show them the videos, right? Show them news articles, of the things that you're speaking about. Now, yes, that takes some preparedness and extra steps, but hey, as Uncle Larry Elder would say, we have a country to save, So I definitely think it's worth it. Let's continue.
Red pill.
Full red pill. But if you go to a Trump supporter and you were to download into their brains all of the news articles about Donald Trump, the thing is, most Trump supporters would be like, these are contradictions. This is the point. My favorite two stories from Politico. One, that the Democrats were that Ukraine said that there were Democrats trying to interfere in the 2016 election or something to that effect. Then you have several years later, Politico reporting once again that in fact that was Russian disinformation, but never retracting or correcting their own reporting, saying otherwise. How can Politico run two stories, one making a claim and one saying that claim was Russian disinformation without correcting? Because it's garbage nonsense. Now, the fact that I know those two articles exist gives me some keen insight into what's really going on in the world, especially considering who the journalist was who wrote the second article. You put those articles into the minds of the average person, and they're going to be like, something's not right here. Trump supporters already know the news contradicts itself and lies all the time. Many of these liberals just believe Rachel Maddow, and they think Fox News is lying. Granted, not a big fan of Sean Hannity, but Tucker Carlson was pretty good. But they just read garbage from like the Daily Beast and then believe things that aren't true.
I remember when I got red pilled, it was the most depressing, probably the most depressing experience I've ever had in my life. It was like near suicidal, like the way I gave up on life when I was like, this really is all fake. Not all, but like this is whole American dream thing is like fed to me over on the backs of slaves.
So yeah, very interesting topic of discussion there that I think is 100% true, right? And I touched on that. You plug in all the information and you'll pop out Trump supporters, for sure. Now, unfortunately, that's not possible, so we all have to do that ourselves via conversations. And like I said, the strategy that I found to work the best is slow stepping it, right? Just ease your way in. Don't just try to ram them with all the information, because that's when you get the blowback and people push away, or they start calling you names or crazy, or they just leave, right? It's got to be a slow build up, right? With the videos, with the news articles, right, to go along with it, and the conversation will go a lot further that way. At least I found that to be the best strategy. Y'all can let us know in the comment section when you've had conversations with people on the left, the strategy that you found to work the best. But yeah, man, like I said, as Larry Elder would say, we have a country to save. So I think it's important that we do have these conversations. We do have these discussions, no matter how long it's going to take us. Yeah, it takes time. And of course, time is money. But we have a country to save. So I do believe heavily in still having those conversations, even for people that aren't even super well versed in it. I'm not the most well versed in all of this stuff. I'd be the first to admit I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to all of this stuff, but I know enough, right? I know enough to have a conversation about it. You know what I mean? So yeah, y'all let me know how you feel about all of this in the comment section below. Shout out to Tim Pool, of course. Like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.